So, today I will show you how to create a simple application using XML HTTP request level 2 and introduce you to the advanced features of XHR2. First, I will show you an example of transferring images from my computer to the server and then transferring them back to my screen using JSON on the server. When you see the screen in a browser, you can select the desired image by using the Choose File button. Then use the Send File button to send the file to the server. You can send more and more. After a while, the image file transferred to the server will be displayed on the screen. Now let's look at the code. First, create a basic file input tag in the body tag here and here. Use the progress tag at the top to view the progress of the file when it is transferred. This is also a new feature of XML HTTP request level 2. Next, in JavaScript, add an event listener and set the file transfer to start using send form function. When the send file button with ID get data is clicked. Create form data and XML HTTP request classes for form submission. These two lines. Attach an HTML file input tag with an image file to this form data. Then open the XML HTTP request and transfer the file to the server using the post method. Now let's explain the progressive var using XHR.upload.onProgress. I set console log so that I can see the progress simultaneously on the console and in the browser. Calculate the progressive value using loaded divide total and put this value into the progress tag of HTML. And put the value to here, and you can see the result here. Finally, append the image you received in the result div using the documented.created element tag. No, here, not here. Yeah, here. At this time, the values of name, type, and data URL in the image requested in the PHP file are displayed in the console log. You can see the values in the console. Let's look at the browser again. The developer inspector. Select and send the file again. Refresh, then I will select another file. Then you can see the loading status and value, name, data URL, and yes, type here. When transferring files, you can view file transfer progress and image information from the console. Note that these functions work on the server, so you can upload the files to the server and view the results. Now, let's talk about the new features of XML HTTP request level 2. XML HTTP request is a web browser interface. It makes it possible for JavaScript doing HTTP communication. Microsoft IE5 first introduced this because it is so useful that many other browsers also adapted this. Ajax came to the front since XML HTTP request allows the developers to make HTTP and HTTP requests and modify the current page without reloading it. However, this interface is not standardized. Implementation among different browsers is different. With the emerging of HTML5, WC3 is considering to standardize this interface. In February 2008, they proposed a XHR Level 2 draft. Before introducing the new version, let's get back to the old XML HTTP request. The above codes contain major properties of the old XML HTTP request object. The number 4 means data received is completed, and 200 means status OK, and text data sent by the server. The old XML HTTP request has following drawbacks. It suffers only text data transmission and cannot read and unload a binary file. There is no progress information while sending and receiving data. It only shows whether complete or not. Due to same origin policy, it can only request data from the same server. The new XML HTTP request object made some major improvements respect to the older version. The list here is a noticeable improvement at level 2. It can use form data object to manage form data, upload file, receive progress information of data transmission, request data from different servers, receive binary data from server, and set HTTP request timeout. This new version of XML HTTP request proposes many new functions. It has been pushed the evolution of Internet. Now I introduce some new functions of the new XML HTTP request level 2. Ajax is frequently used to transmit form data in order to ease the form data processing. HTML5 added a new form data object which can simulate a form. Users can send the form data object directly, and it has the same effect to submitting the form. Form data can be sent in 3 ways. Send HTML form using form data, create form data inside JavaScript, and transfer of binary files such as images and video. We can see the form data object and its ordered key value pairs. First, create a form data object. Then add form fields. Finally, directly send the form data object. It has the same effect of submitting the form. Form data object can also be used to receive the form data from the web page's form element. Now, let me give you an example how to send the HTML form. First, the form data object is created using an HTML form, and then the data is sent to the server. This is very similar to using the HTML form submit button. This is when the HTML form is generated from JavaScript. First, create create a form data object, then add data using the append method. Append corresponds to the input tag of HTML. Finally, the form data is transferred. This is an example of transferring a file, similar to the previous example, append with the file name. If you look closely, you can see that in variable file control, you use document.get element by ID to select a specific image whose ID is photo. This is a multi-file sending example. With the for loop, we can attach several files and then send to the server. One limitation of early XHR was the same origin policy. Both the requesting document and the requested document had to originate from the same scheme, host, and port. However, when it is necessary to provide open API or various public APIs, or inevitable receive data from another host, it was very difficult. In the new version, you can send requests directly to another server using URL, as is shown in the code below. You have to use a full URL. The previous XML HTTP request can only receive text data from the server, but XHR2 can receive file, JSON, and XML data directly. You can also receive binary large object files such as video files. The examples on this page are in the same text as the original, but use onload to receive the data. Onload means when your request has successfully completed. The second method is to receive the file as XML. File can also be received via JSON. I already showed the example. This example is how to get it in document. If the file is large, set the response type to blob separately. In the past, only unready state change information was provided, but XML2 can receive a lot of information during data exchange. Let's take a look at onProgress, which is a typical example. There is a progress event in the new XML HTTP request object. It can send back the progress information. There are two possibilities for progress: download progress and upload progress. The progress event for downloading belongs to XML HTTP request object, while progress event for uploading belongs to XML HTTP request upload object. We can set callback function for progress event. In callback function, we use some properties of the progress event. In above case, event.total refers to the total byte to be transferred. Event.loaded means byte transferred. If event.length computable is false, then event total will be 0. You can create a graph in HTML and then grab the progress data and display it as a graph. Sometimes AJAX operation may take a long time, and we cannot expect how much more time is needed. If you have a poor network connection, then you may need to wait for a long time. Slow request will make your application appear unresponsive, which is not good for the user experience. The new XML HTTP request object adds the timeout property, which is to set the timeout. This code controls the timeout. After 3 minutes, the request will be stopped. So far, the contents is the XHR2 I've looked into. I hope this video has provided you with useful information. Thank you.